listening to Raconteurs News. It's 2018. I fucking said 2018 now instead of 2018. Like a wanker. This is live radio, people.
What the BBC tell us isn't what the government want us to believe, then just think of that and, think about who benefits, because at the bottom of everything is somebody benefiting from something somewhere. And there's one thing for sure, it fucking ain't me, and it ain't you.
And it's happening again. 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 And it's happening again.
It's down to us then to sort it out then, isn't it?
You get a dog, or a wolf, or a spider, or a snake. How can you get a snake to be the same species as a dog? It's easy. You call the species that bites you.
Weird.
That bites you.
Yeah. Right.
That bites you.
Okay.
Yeah, you've got a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got a choice. Yeah, you've got a choice. But do you want a punch in the face or a kick in the bollocks? Jesus. So what did you want to talk about? Bollocks. Yes, Jason's bollocks. No bills of exchange.
That's how much I'm interested in fucking cricket.
Well, you'd have to have a modicum of intelligence, would you see, believe?
Exactly.
All the thinking is.
Which one of us are you going to propose to this evening?
A lot of men who don't have sex.
Yeah.
Hey. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Raconteurs News After Dark on this Friday evening. It's the 20th of January 2023. 2023. We're already in it. Back in 20. It seems like don't seem right, does it? Don't seem right. No, it just don't seem right. It don't feel right. But anyway, we're here in 2023. We're going to make the most of it. Evening, Jim. How you doing, mate?
All good here, Jay. Still pretty cold here. Still pretty cold. My toes are still customary cold for this time of the year. Snow still on the ground, but we haven't had any snowfall since. So it's been so cold that the snow hasn't just had a chance to go away yet. So that's pretty cool. Interesting.
My toes don't get. I've only got a few toes, so they don't generally tend to get fucking. Don't tend to get cold. Well, the toes don't anyway. I just can't even feel them really. The ones that I've got left. I have been having a lot of, particularly today. In fact, just before we came on, but must be only 10 minutes before we came on. Now we're here getting ready for the show, and downstairs there's my wife. Danielle's watching TV, and I'm fucking screaming place down because I've got phantom pain. I've had this phantom pain in my non-existent toe all day on my big toe on the foot that's not even there. It is the weirdest thing you'll ever know in your life. But I get it every now and again, and I've had it today. I had it about tea time, and it nearly made me drop nearly made me took me tray up with my steak on it and everything. And then just before we started here, so it's been a funny day for that. I'm not best pleased with it.
No, I imagine like it could be kind of tricky. Like if you're down a leg, and you have pain in your toe, and you get up and you forget that you're down a leg, and you go try walking, it might be a bit dangerous.
Do you know that's the one thing I've never done? I mean, a lot of people do that, especially
Really?
at first. Yeah, they do that. They do sort of like try and get up and start walking, and usually end up like with all the stump damage because it's usually quite early on. And then the wound at the bottom's not healed up enough, so and it breaks it open again. So a lot of people do that, but I've not done it. I've never done that. I've never actually hurt my stump or anything. But I tell you what is weird. When I first had my leg off, I used to get phantom itching. Because you get phantom sensations, and sometimes and I used to get really bad phantom itching. And the thing to do, they told me to do is, and I did this, I tried, and it worked as well, is you sort of sit on the bed with your leg out, and you put a mirror where your other leg should be, so it looks like you've got 2 feet, 2 legs. and then you scratch the leg, your leg that's remaining, and you look in the mirror in the place where you're itching, and it works. It fucking takes it off. So the mind is an amazing thing. But yeah, that's what they tell you to. Well, that's what they told me back then. God knows what they tell you now. They probably tell you to fucking I don't know, run about as quick as you can, and we'll not be here longer.
Well, that's an odd story. I was just had strange things going through my head as you were telling it. Like I was just imagining like what all these transgenders would be doing. Like who used to have a bollocks at one stage, to be going around scratching their non-existent bollocks. Like,
it's yeah.
The mirror wouldn't work with that, would it?
Well, no, because unless you had one bollock removed, it might work. But not if you've got both bollocks gone. No, I don't think it's going to work. That, to be honest. Yeah, but that's the thing. Yeah, that's what's been ailing me. But no, we can't fucking deal with. No, we can't deal with it, lad. Oh, nice one. Loads of stuff today. We've got to talk about, haven't we? Let's say hello to some people in chat room anyway, first of all.
Do.
Yeah, let's go through these people here. Tony, good evening to you, Tony. Non-violent extremist, of course. Paula, good evening to Paula, down there in Cornwall and all mad and hiding under the covers, and sends me some great stuff, text messages. I always enjoy reading them, Paula. And I got one this morning. Thank you very much for that. Mascara Snake, Raconteurs News. I wonder who that is. That were you, weren't it? Weren't me? Hey, did I tell you about that when I was going on other people's channels and commenting in chat and then saying it were you instead of me? I did, didn't I?
I think I heard about it. Yeah, that was over on Jimmy O's, wasn't it? Wasn't it on Jimmy O's channel that was going on?
I've done it everywhere. I've done it everywhere I go. If anyone ever recognises me, goes, "Hello, Jason," I say, "No, it's Jimmy." Mascara Snake, JJ, evening JJ, and it's happening again. And that's Kendo as well, Paula. That's Mr. White. Mr. White. Good evening, Mr. White. Starfish Troopers as well. Good evening to you, Pete. Is it Pete?
Mr. White. Pete.
He
sounds racist.
He does, doesn't he? He sounds absolutely. That is a racist. That's a racism, isn't it?
That's a white privileged name. That.
Mick Ramo's in as well. Rich T, and that's everyone who I've seen anyway. Good evening to you all, and all the people who aren't listening, and all the people who listen later on, because the majority of people that listen to this show listen to it afterwards. They don't listen live. So hello to you. I really appreciate it. Well, yeah, I do appreciate it. Of course, I appreciate it. Yeah,
well, it's good. It's good to know that, like, because sometimes we can be under the illusion that we are few. Like, and unless you went back and checked an older podcast, you see our numbers are a lot greater than we actually think. And that's always good to know. And that's something I'm hoping that, like, despite all the fucking stupid cunts that are walking around like zombies, I'm still thinking that there's quite a large. I think there's enough of us out here on the same wavelength to actually make a difference. Really. We can't help the zombies, of course, but we can help each other,
Well, I had a dream last night, and my dreams usually, when I have a dream and I really remember it, and I really feel like I should remember it, because I have loads of dreams, but like there's sometimes dreams that I have that I feel I should remember, and I had one last night actually, and I got the impression that, and it sort of made me. It made me think. It's because I said at the beginning of this year that it'd be my last year this year doing this. That I'm gonna, I might pack it in now. That was me thinking anyway. That I'd, that this would be my last year. Well, I had this dream that it would be my last year, but it would be the last year of this struggle. So whatever. That's what I got in my dream last night, that this would be the last year of that struggle. And it's funny that I said that the other week that I had that this was going to be the last year. So I think that this is going to be the last year that it's going to be resolved one way or another. We're either going to be all complete fucking slaves, or we might even get a bit of freedom. You never know. But anyway, that's my 2 pence. I'll just pin that there somewhere and then come back to it later on in year and say, look, I told you everybody, all right. Ignoring all times I'm wrong, of course.
Probably best just to wait until the year is up and then see what the form is like then. I hate predicting the future. I hate trying to.
No, I'm not predicting. I'm just sort of saying it's not prediction. It's just I just think I just got this. That's the impression I got from last night. A pretty lucid dream that I had last night, which I do have on from time to time. Some quite fucking weird dreams and things have come true in them out of them. So that's just a dream I had last night. Anyway, let's move on. Where are we at the moment? Because we've got a really weird situation. There seems to be trouble everywhere, and it all seems to be. If you'll just indulge me for a minute, but it all seems to be we've got CoffeeZilla going up after Logan Paul, and that has been a massive distraction for everybody who's into that, who watches crypto stuff. I mean, I watched the whole thing unfold, and I found it fascinating. So, and now we've got this thing with Stephen Crowder, and I found this last night actually. It were a Steve Crowder video that I never normally get them. And if anybody who don't know who he is, he's the bloke who's always there's the meme in there where it says "change my mind" and he's sat with a desk with a piece of paper on front, and then people write the stuff. You know what I mean on the meme itself, but it usually says there's only 2 genders. Change my mind. That sort of thing. Now him and Daily Wire. Can you put some meat on these bones? What's gone on between him and Daily Wire? Seems that Daily Wire have sacked him because he's been demonetized on YouTube. That's what I could get from it.
No, not at all. See, Stephen Crowder over the years, he does produce his own material, of course. But basically, he's always been working under sort of like major companies, right? So the last company that he was working under was Blaze TV, I think they were called. I think it was Blaze. So they terminated their acquaintance, their business partnership anyway, because whatever was going on. But I think they parted company amicably. So Crowder was approached, or he was approached, or there was discussions going on between him and Daily Wire that Daily Wire might become the new producer umbrella corporation that would sort of like take him on and pay him a fee for producing his show and do all sorts of things like that. So that's the situation there. So no, he was not working with Daily Wire yet. It was he was in negotiations with them over the contract if he was to move over to Daily Wire. And this was about the contract that was sort of like being discussed at the time. So basically, to cut a long story short, he wasn't actually working with Daily Wire at all. Yeah,
so he's not working with Daily Wire at all. So I mean, I don't get what his beef is. So it's a job offer or a job negotiation that's sort of fallen on stony ground, and the 2 parties can't come to an amicable arrangement that's good for or acceptable for each party, and so now the parting ways before they've even come together type thing. Is that what I'm to understand there is here?
Well, that's basically the nuts and bolts of it. But the interesting thing about it is, and I can't remember the guy's name from Daily Wire, but him and Crowder have been friends for about a decade now, right? But they've been good friends, right? So this is actually after blowing up. I've seen this shit going on before, right? So, and I don't know, what you think of Stephen Crowder. I actually like him. I like his show. I like his material. Most days I'll have a little bit of a gander at what they do be up to. They haven't been on now for a while since they parted company with Blaze TV, so I haven't been watching them. But usually what they do is they do an hour on YouTube, and then at the end of that hour they tell YouTube to go fuck off, and then they jump on over to what they call Mug Club, where they do where they're allowed to talk like about anything they want without any restrictions, like, so that's the business model that they've been working under, basically. So Crowder himself, I kind of like him. He's an interesting guy, right? He's always comes on screen, like he's there like doing his shows, and he'd be there packing a weapon like on camera, like, and he works with a couple of good people there. Like, don't ask me their names. There's Dave and there's another guy, and they're quite funny. They got an interesting take on geopolitics. Well, yeah, some geopolitics, a lot of American politics and stuff like that. Like, but a comedy way. It's quite funny at times. It is quite funny at times. But so I just thought it was very, very wrong to come out like that and bring the details of a contract out like that, because it seemed to be like it was just a business contract, and
Well,
it was
who was first? Who was first to come out with this? Where does this begin? Where does the consternation begin? There's always a beginning. There's always one person that begins it.
Yeah, well, Crowder.
I'm not trying to get like that. I just want to know where the first shot came from.
Yeah, well, the first shot came from Crowder, basically, and he took to the airways to voice his concerns about the contract that was being offered by the Daily Wire to him, like, because there was he took certain issues about like how much money was being deducted if shows were missed, and if deadlines didn't work out to the satisfaction of both parties. Like, we were looking at like about, if he missed certain productions, like, which would be exclusive videos that he would do, like, with them, he could lose up on $1 million for that particular one. And then also, like, they want to control over certain social media accounts, like the Crowder accounts on Facebook, the Crowder accounts on Twitter. I don't think he liked that part of the contract. And as well as that, like, he took offense to how, if they managed to get themselves banned or demonetized on, say, YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, that like they could be deducted up to about €100,000 for loss in ad revenues. So he had a point. Like, he had a point. Whether like this was something that should have been aired live on air is another question entirely. Like, so that's where it started, basically. Crowder put out a video talking about, and he done it kind of cryptically, but like everybody knew what the fuck he was talking about. Everybody knew it was about Daily Wire, and next thing you know, the following day, the Daily Wire put out their own video, and they walked right through the whole contract. I actually watched the most of it. I watched about 50 minutes of it, like, which was an hour-long broadcast about the contract. Had a look at all the contract and all the details, and it was pretty much as Crowder had said it was, but we took a look at the whole contract. So Crowder may have had a point, and the Daily Wire came over as quite reasonable as well too, and he didn't put Crowder down in any sort of like crazy way, or he didn't say anything derogatory about Crowder, no. So that was fine. So that was the two had their say, and next thing, the next day, Crowder comes out with another response to the video that like the Daily Wire put out the previous day, and then they started going into the discussion. What Crowder had done basically was recorded the conversation between him and the Daily Wire, and he highlighted a couple of small sections of it, like about where Crowder was talking with him about, like, what about all these young artists who come along and have to live under these contracts and get charged these exorbitant amounts and stuff. And the Daily Wire response was, well, they come in and work for a slave wage, and then they part company when they're finished, and they go off and we build them up, and they do quite well afterwards, and they get a name for themselves, but they have to go work for the slave wage first. So that was the section that he highlighted in part of the response to on the third video, on Crowder's second video response to that. And it just seemed all wrong. There's just something just doesn't smell right about this. So Crowder's talking now about starting up his own network and how he's going to take care of anybody who comes to work for his new network. So is it a kind of a campaign? It is a campaign, obviously, whether it was planned or not, I don't know. But I doubt it was planned, like, but obviously Crowder is trying to milk it, like, and maybe use it as a springboard to get his own media corporation sort of up and running, and get hosts in, and yourself, business is business, like. But it's been marked down as like, the way Crowder is framing it is basically like, this is how the conservative community is working. Instead of, he contends that, like, rather, instead of like, sort of like conservative media networks doing the job of social media companies and punishing the artists if they get banned or shadow banned or demonetized on these platforms. And he Crowder is saying that, like, the conservative media networks are sort of helping big tech control conservative voices. Now, he may have a point. I don't know. I'm sure we're going to hear more about this. Certainly, both sides have a point. I'm not sure it should have been aired in such a public way, like, especially like if it's in business, like, if Crowder doesn't like the business offer, okay, you keep your offer. No, we'll go hunt somewhere else. We can get a better deal somewhere else. He turned down 50 million, right? He was being offered 50 million for a
Yeah,
4-year contract.
again, it tells me some. You're talking fucking stupid numbers, aren't you? You're talking absolutely stupid numbers. And now that this is in alternative media, it's become a beast of its own, hasn't it? It's rather a beast of its own. So to remain independent is really, really difficult. Especially when you see other people who are, you'd say we're on a par with you, earning decent, mega money. If that's what your motivation is, then it's got to fucking irk on you, hasn't it? I mean, it's probably 50 million quid. I mean, it's quite a problem to have, isn't it? Oh, he's only offered me 50 million quid, and there's penalties to pay if all happens. Well, fucking there is, isn't there?
It's 1.3 million a year. It's like, that's it's not bad money, to be honest. Like, I don't know what. He probably wouldn't come even close to that if he was to run his own show the way he normally does. Like, so he is turning down a massive offer. Like, maybe Crowder is being sincere. I don't know. I can't read the man's mind. So very, very difficult. But the interesting thing about it, though, is it does highlight, like, something that has been bugging me for some time about how the alternative media just seems to be a little bit sold out these days. Certain say, like the Duran, for example, and your Brian Berletics and all they seem to have moved away from being impartial. They used to always be kind of impartial and deliver the news impartially, like, and now the Duran are very, very pro-Russian in everything. And when they talk about Europe, it's they're fools, this and that, and then they talk about America, and then just they're silly over there in America. They're gone crazy. And Russia, of course, they paint Russian walls with painted gold, like, and it's so, as far as I'm concerned, Duran seemed to have, like, shifted from being very impartial to being just polarized, like that, and it smells off to me now, and that's why I'm not so interested. I don't follow them quite as intently as I used to, because it just smells off. And this Crowder thing with the joining of that, with the revelations that are in that contract, you can see how upcoming alternative media voices could be controlled, and could be swayed to, like, it has been suggested that since Candice Owens has joined the Daily Wire, she's not quite as raw and sort of like outspoken as she used to be. I don't know. I don't follow her, like, but a lot of alternative voices are suggesting that. So there may be some, Crowder may have a good point, I don't know what your thoughts are on it.
Well, do you know, what, especially with the amount of money that's around, swishing around in alternative media now, compared to back in the day when fucking Alex Jones were just, in his cupboard or whatever he were doing. It seems to me these people that are orchestrating the world. Now, we know that they already control mainstream media. Now, these people, they're not fucking stupid. They're going to own alternative media as well, aren't they? You've got to own both sides in order to win, which is why they always donated to both political parties. And whoever wins then gets to do their bidding. And it's just the same now in alternative media. Alternative media is not alternative anymore. It's just, it's nonsense. It's sensationalist. And that's what you've got to be in order to do to be on YouTube and to or on any of these platforms and have any sort of voice. You've got to keep people coming back with more and more out there fucking assumptions. The money is going to ruin it. It already has ruined it, hasn't it? I mean, YouTube's nowhere near what it were. It's nothing like what it were. Nothing is like what it is. The internet's dead. Then internet theory. It's already dead. It's already dead. There's only me and you that's the real people that are alive, and Jimmy O and Cookie Monster and Pete from Thingy and Steve Bruce and Robert and all that. Everything's just dog shit. It's all the same dog shit. Internet too, yeah, exactly. I remember back in the day, it must have been about 2006 or 5 or 4 even. And I remember somebody pointing out that there were some websites were starting www2. And then the thing, it's internet too, like JJ just put it, it's internet. I think this is probably about internet about 5.0, because it's just not the same beast. It's not the same thing. It's not the same entity as it used to be, as it was. It's like you discovered dinosaurs and then you made them all fucking timid, and now all they're doing, right, is now we're bored with them, and all they're doing is fucking leaving shit everywhere. So we've neutered them. Everything's neutered. There's no edge to anything. No edge at all to anything. It's all neutered crap. And that's coming in alternative as well.
Yeah, I do be quite shocked by how much advertising is in the alternative scene. Everybody's trying to sell you something, and if you're on the conservative side of it, you're always being sold something, buy your My Pillows and get your herbal extracts from such and such, and don't forget to get your EMP shield and all your prepper stuff. It's like we the internet is just a wash. It's just like a massive advertising program, and the alternative media is just it's kind of like coming up on a par with the MSM now. They're both equal. You got the advertising and that has taken over, and then you've got the big networks there who are driving it, and then you got your superstars who are willing to spout the advertisements for whatever. I understand people have to make fucking money. There's a few small alternative media sources, like the likes of Greg Hunter, and he has a few small advertisers, and he does a small little bit at the end of each show, and he holds up a piece of paper like that to the screen. He says, such and such, they sell great water filters, such and such has got gas masks or whatever, and I like his form of advertising, but in general, you got your Jane Rubies and all that lot, Stu Peters, they're breaking every 5 to 10 minutes, to hit you with health products and sort of survival gear, and it's becoming unwatchable almost.
I did like and I'm a big Noel McDonald fan, and I always bring up his podcast when he advertised. If you go on to YouTube and you type in Noel McDonald Man Great, because that was one of the advertisers that he had on his show, that he had one of his sponsors, and he does and another one called something about a razor club, and they send razors to your door and everything, and just utter piss take. In fact, he ended up losing Man Great because he was just taking piss all the time. But I just love the way, because probably more people went to, looked up at Mangrate because of what he'd said about it, rather than, oh, by the way, I'd just like to tell you, I do that, to go to fucking all that shit. Let's be real, innit? Reality's the new fucking currency, I'm telling you. It's the new currency, because nobody's real anymore. Everybody's all fucking fake. And yes, Noel MacDonald, the professor of logic at the University of Science.
Not just the science.
That is a fucking corking joke. Do you know? I wish I had way to tell it, because it's a great joke. But have a look at the professor of logic at the University of Science joke that. Sorry, I'm gonna have to stop talking about it.
Anyway,
but yeah, they're all advertising. It's all going the same way.
Yeah, it is and we have no choice but to come down into groups like this now, and this is the we're on the front line right now, and we're being surrounded by the monster, and I'm convinced though we'll come out of it okay. I think people are just we'll see it for what it is, and
we will come out of it okay. We will.
But we have to take this step back from all the bullshit, and we have to sort of say no to listen to fucking bullshit, and not support them, don't watch them. That's how I deal with the MSN. I said, I don't have a TV, I don't watch them, I don't read their papers, and I don't support them. And if I can at all, I will stay away from even their online publications, because I just know, I know I'm just going to vomit if I have to read some of their tripe, basically.
And it is just fucking crap, innit? It is just tripe. I can't even fucking watch it. Let's get on to. I wanted to. Where are we? We're at half an hour. Where are we? Half an hour in, aren't we?
Yeah.
The worst one else. Yeah, this fucking dickhead who's been jailed for 6.5 years, 6.6 years, 6 years and 6 months. What do you make of this? Who's this bloke?
I'll get it up now. The UK conspiracy. Oliver Lewin.
Yeah.
Lewin.
Oliver Lewin from Colville in Leicestershire. And if you've ever been to Colville, you'll know that it is a bit. Listen, I don't know any people from there. I just used to deliver there, and it were a ball ache to get there. But apart from that, but I don't know what it's like. But yeah, Colville. But apparently he got infiltrated on a Telegram group. Be interesting to see who's in our group who's a copper. We've got 39 members in our Telegram group. Who's a pig in there? Who's a pig in ours?
I was reading that article, and did he get infiltrated on a Telegram group, or he just came out and started talking about it on his Telegram group that he had been infiltrated? It was a very, very odd story. What was it? He had a plan to commit a terror attack on our nation's infrastructure by amassing a huge amount of equipment and undertaking reconnaissance. The trial heard that Lewin planned to target masts and transport and such as the M1 in the Midlands and a transmission station in Sutton Coldfield, where he planned to firebomb sheds. He had been taken in by a number of conspiracy theories and believed the COOF scamdemic was triggering what he termed the emergence of a Chinese communist system, and was also suspicious of the Jabberwocky program. The prosecutor Annabella Darlow, KC, said he also believed the UK government was dominated by a Jewish elite who took orders from Israel, she told the court. And I mean, obviously, he didn't get the memo. If he had said that the UK government was dominated by Russian oligarchs who told Israel what to do, he might have been closer to Mark there, But obviously, like he was a little bit crazy. I didn't realize that
Well,
was up. I didn't
yeah, I
realize
put
that
it
was
up. I
up.
put it up. Yeah, I put it up. I
Fair
put it
play,
up.
fair
You're
play.
reading it out anyway. Yeah, but yeah, it is a bit. Look, from it sounds like every conspiracy. It looks to me as if they've stitched him up. And I think it's probably when he's probably said stuff and they've misrepresented it. Do you remember when those blokes from Fathers for Justice, they were infiltrated by some coppers, and because they said, they were having a meeting, and they said, what would Tony Blair feel like if he couldn't see his kid and all this, and like, oh yeah, and all crap that this people talk, and they took that as them conspiring to kidnap Tony Blair's child. These people got convicted of it, and then they appealed, and the conviction was quashed because there were no real evidence. But this is where we're going, isn't it? That seems to me like a bit of a precursor to this. Whereas this kid, because he's not Fathers for Justice, and he's just a one-man band, as it were. So it seems anyway. It seems that they've made an example of him.
It's not beyond the realm of possibility. I would like to know, like, how much of this super weaponry that he was amassing, right? And about this surveillance, what did he do? Did he stand outside a place where there might have been a mast and look up at it? Like, was that his crime there?
Well, actually, they said that he'd prepared holes. He'd dug holes in the ground where he was going to run and hide. I don't know. Fucking God knows. But apparently that's what they said he's done. It just don't make any sense, does it? This one kid on his own. But, you never know. People do some fucking mad shit. But it seems to me like he's just left himself wide open, and they've gone in and took him. It's a bit like when you've got a big protest going on, and they go in and they take somebody out and they drag him out, and that sort of makes everybody else think twice. I think that's probably what they're doing here.
Yeah, I think there was a guy who was connected to the British special branch of it could have been, was it Mark Kennedy or Mark Malone or someone like that. He used to come over from he operates here in Ireland, and he used to infiltrate protests and agitate. He was an agitator within the protest groups, like, and he'd always be there rising trouble, just to rise the crowd and just to get them going, like, and just to tease out anybody who would be a little bit violent in the group and get agitated, like, and that's how they operate. Like, this is a standard operating procedure. He didn't just, like, he was going everywhere. It was like he was obviously getting well paid to travel around the country. Like the Shell oil protests were going on in County Mayo at the time, and he was over there too, infiltrating the protest groups. And I think last night, now I didn't get a chance just to catch up, like, with a case. There's a guy called Derek Bly over here in Ireland that he's very, very vocal about the refugee problems in the country, like, and he's been traveling up and down the country. So last night, apparently in Fermoy, there was something happened at a particular protest or gathering, like, and apparently a cop slapped a woman's hand and knocked the phone out of her hand, and apparently the lady in question, she kind of walked away and came back and punched the copper in the face. Now, from what I'm hearing, the copper didn't make any attempt to defend himself or nothing. And some people were pointing out that this was kind of unusual, and they're thinking that this was all a setup, like, to get at Derek Bly, who was arrested last night at this protest in Fermoy. So I haven't got much more detail about that case at the moment, but I'm pretty sure more will come out, like, over the next couple of days, like. So, but like you're saying, always, because if you're going to go to these protests, if you see any fucking troublemakers, give them a wide berth, because you know well that they're either government informants or agents or like connected to the cops in some way, shape, or form. Like, just anybody who's causing trouble at a protest, you have to consider them, like, as being dubious in nature anyway. That's causing trouble at a protest goes outside the spirit of a protest. A protest is normally conducted peacefully. And I don't like protests. I wouldn't go to them because they just seem so pointless. But anyway, rant over.
Well, we had. Speaking of that, we had a few years ago when me and Adi started doing Friends of UK Column back in 2012, I think it were. And we had meetings every 4 weeks, and it would just the name was just coincidental, but we were just meeting up and talking about these issues at a casino, really good venue, and we managed to put on some speakers and stuff. And Adi met this bloke called Johnny Bravo, he called himself. So that was his name. And I said to Adi, says, I've met this bloke and he's coming to meetings, and he's Mr. fucking, anyway, he came and I met him. Johnny Bravo. I came and I met him. He came and I met him. And I said to Adi, right at the very start, I said to Adi, after first time I'd met him, I said to Adi, I said, he's a wrong 'un. He's a wrong 'un. He says, no, he's not. He's not. I says, Adi, he's a wrong 'un. I says, I'll leave it and we'll let it play out, but he's a wrong un. Mark my words. And we went on for a few weeks, and he were coming every week. Every month, because we're doing monthly. So he were coming every month, and he had this militant. We called him militant. If you remember Viz, there was this woman in it called militant in a militant lesbian women's thing. Like, he had one of them in tow, a woman with him who looked. Anyway, it don't matter what she looked like, but you could tell she was just a feminist and all this. In fact, she used to talk about it all the time. And I said, look, he's a wrong. Anyway, he actually did a talk. I'll put a link into the talk that he did. But he did a talk, and it weren't a bad talk. It were okay. But I said to Adi, I said, he's a wrong 'un. He's gonna cause trouble, and he did. He ended up getting us kicked out of venue because it was a casino. They were good enough because they were a multi-story car park above. They were good enough to do us parking, to what do they call it? Validate your parking, so that you take your parking ticket, and they'd, as if you'd paid, right? They do it as if you'd paid, so they'd validate it. But all you did is you get your name. You get a name. It didn't matter what name it were. You get a name. And this one particular night, we were there we'd all finished, and then we got this we were all getting his parking validated. And he went along and he said, what's name? He went, I ain't got a name. And I said, look, just tell him any name. It don't matter, just a name. You've just got to just give him a name. It don't mean I ain't got a name. And he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't and he caused the right fucking stir and got us kicked out of the venue. This was a free venue, a really cool venue. Let me just find the the video, and you'll see that the venue was absolutely amazing. I'll just hang on.
And was this where you were plotting to take over the world?
Yeah. No, it were a long time ago. Well, where is it? Fucking up. Why does it not come up? Hang on. Sorry about this, everybody. I will find it. Oh, there we go. I found my other channel. Videos. Where are we? Fucking tons of the cunts. I'm just trying to find it. So I just want to show you what sort of you can see it's a decent venue that we've got. We had a few people speaking there. We had Tony Farrell spoke there. If you know who Tony Farrell is, don't you?
Oh yeah,
the principal intelligence analyst for South Yorkshire Police. He did a talk there. We had Rob Freeman as well. John Practical Lawful Rebellion, it was called. And here it is. Let me just get this. I'll pop it on. So if you this was fuck off. Present, share screen, Chrome tab, John Bravo, share. There you go. This was. There we go. So we've got. Come on, play your con.
I'm tricked into thinking that we are.
See, this is,
I'll come on to that as the night unfolds.
now, this bloke was supposed to be Canadian, and he turns up one week, and he got his dad with him, and his fucking dad were Irish, and he was like this great weird cunt. And then this other bloke turned up who got like.
He wasn't from Donegal by any chance, was he?
No, this kid was from fucking Canada.
You talking about his dad, the Irish?
His dad was from Ireland.
No, that's what I was saying. His dad, like, he wasn't from Donegal by any chance, was he? Weird looking cunt.
Yeah. Oh yeah, fucking Donegal living in Germany. No, but you can see we've got screens behind. We were able to use and access all this. They've got a big this room where it's got room for 150, 200 people in it. We've probably got about 50, 60 people in. But we did great talks and stuff like that. We put stuff on. It was something that we did. We all did. If you want to find that, it's Practical Lawful Rebellion. That's my other channel there, Alter Edge Media, as you can see. Sorry, let me find.
That's a good name, Altered Edge Media. It's got a ring to it, lad.
Yeah, alternative. Where the alternative has the edge. That's what was
Altered Edge. Wasn't Altered Edge going out on satellite at one stage?
No, that were Edge Media.
Ah, right.
Altered Edge Media. It was an alternative to Edge Media initially, and then it became where the alternative view has the edge. That's what the tagline I put on it, but that was years ago. But very interesting times. But yeah, you get people coming who insist on trying to do that sort of thing. They know that you don't want that. And they're doing it on purpose. We had this bloke come along, right? Honestly, fuck me. Have you seen Lethal Weapon 4?
Oh yeah, I love those films. Loved them.
Yeah, well, there's it might be 3 or 4. It's 3. It's either 3 or 4. It's the one with the Chinese in it, all the Chinese people in it. And there's the one bloke, and he's got like this thing on them things where they come around the neck. The Chinese people wear. I can't, you know what I mean? But he got like this bloke comes along, and he's got these beads in his hand as well, like the same. And he's coming along, and he's trying to tell us he's some sort of fucking guru, and like he's doing all this fucking stuff, and he's as soon as you get out, and anybody comes along, and it's if there are any popularity in it, somebody comes along and they want to fucking ruin it. I got rid of him straight away, in with fucking beads and all that. I want to give fucking fuck off. You're a pretentious cunt.
I'm on fire, man. Fucking ashtrays going up here, lad. Call the fire brigade.
Oh dear. Toting Popular Front. Yeah, that's what we were essentially, me and Adi. But we wanted to do something. We're particularly Adi, because Adi had just been woke up and he was like, "We've got to do something. We're going to do something." And so, we did do something. But yeah, it was funny. It were amusing. It were amusing. You see, you learn, you live and you learn. We started that group off with me and Adi, and we said that where did we post? Oh, that's it. We went to Stoke to a BCG meeting, and we bumped into a lass from Sheffield who was a surgeon. Been on this show. She's called Daisy. She's a surgeon for NHS, and she'd whistleblown on people who were above her. They were siphoning money off essentially from NHS, And so she whistle blew on them, and then they ended up putting her in a fucking nut house. But before that,
Oh shit!
before they put her in the nut house, well, we got her out at nut house. But before they put her in nut house, that was the fucking. We met her, and they were and a mate, and me and Adi used to go and meet them, her and a mate, every once a month on a Tuesday, and we'd go and sit in a pub, and it was just us four. And then suddenly, everybody fucking turned up. There were loads of people in this pub. Then we had to move from that pub into Sheffield. So it got so big we had to move, and then people came in and they try and fuck it up.
Yeah, this is the problem when you try to go and organize something that's getting a little bit of traction, you know, and it's actually reaching a few people. They're always looking out for these types of groups, and you know, it's like they have a good plan, you know. It's an excellent plan, you know, and this is why large groups will never ever work. You know, you'll never achieve any true change with a large group or a large movement because it's just too easy to infiltrate. Like, and it doesn't matter the size. You know, it could be a group of 100 people, or it could be a group of 1 million people. In fact, if it's 1 million people, all the better. Like, they'll get the NGOs in, like the big money people will come in then and start funding it. Like, you know, as what's been going on in Brazil, like, you know, and it's terrible what's going on in Brazil. Like, you know, and I never got to cover one of the stories there from last week, but it's gone full fascist. Like, you know, they were dragging people in. They arrested a load of people there. You know, there was about 1 million people out on the streets there, like protesting, and that around the time they destroyed was it the Senate? I think it was the Senate that they destroyed, and a few government buildings. So obviously, like, you know, that's a group that would have had funding behind them, and like, it's been suggested that a lot of the agitators were also just didn't quite fit in. The same as what happened on January the 6th in America at the Capitol, where like you had a load of Antifa who actually kicked it all off, like, and got the ball rolling, like breaking wind. Very same thing happened in Brazil there, like, you know, so they've had their own. It was very, very interesting timing. That event was supposed to happen on January the 6th, but they put it back to January the 8th. So Brazil nearly had their own January the 6th day. So they have about like 1,500 people being held at a prison camp over that. Like, anybody who was brought into that camp was forcibly injected with the mRNA technology, and a few people have already died there. It's like quite shocking what's going on in Brazil, and I hope they get it figured out. Like, you know, so obviously, like, you know, it's a sign of what might be coming to the rest of us. You know, hard to know what's going on really in the world. Hard to know who's winning this grand war, and but like, I'm sure we'll find out maybe by the end of the year, Jay. You know.
Well, do you know what I think? I think that the more that we're silenced, the more that we're winning. So we're silenced. We're completely silenced, and that's a fact. That's a fact. We're completely silenced. There is nothing that is going to be. The only people that can get us out of this is us. We can't rely on technology. We can't rely on anybody else. We've got to rely on ourselves. And if everybody just got their own shit in order, they don't need to anybody else. Don't need to fuck about with anybody else. If everyone got their own shit in order, we'd be out of this by now. But we're not, because people can't get their own shit in order. They're far too fucking caught up on being right rather than the right fucking result getting there in the end. Because we you know, everyone get their own house in order. That's all we've got to do, and rest will come itself.
Yeah, that's it. Like, and just have trust and faith. And I'm not saying, like, you know, like, faith goes. It's not just for religious people. Like, you know, it goes for us agnostics as well too. Like, who are not quite sure what it is that's up there in the sky. Like, you know, but we can all have a bit of faith, really, that like we're not bloody alone. We're actually, there's a lot more of us than we actually think. Like, and so that's all we've got to do. And decentralized groups, small people who you know and trust. And this is how we get through this fucking shit, like, you know.
Look, that's what came between me and your pal, fucking what's his name, Sean Maguire.
Oh,
That came between me and him because when do you know it was that John Bravo bloke that introduced me to Sean Maguire, right? He introduced me to Sean Maguire. So he introduced me to Sean Maguire, like telling me that they were fucking, he was this fucking great bloke and what have you. And then so I had a brief conversation with Sean Maguire, and then we were friends on Facebook. That was it. And then one day, Sean Maguire says, "No, not EastEnders Sean Maguire. No, I know what you mean. Yeah, but no. Sean Maguire, the Irish poet who has got the gayest voice for a straight man ever that there's ever been. But yeah, he wrote something on Facebook saying we need a big alternative media fucking organization so that we can fight with the big boys and we can fight with the big boys and we can get our stuff. And I said I disagree. I just commented. I just said I disagree. I think big groups, when you're in a big group, one person infiltrates that big group, the entire group's infected. Whereas if you've got small groups, they can separate themselves from groups that get infected. And that's simple, in it. Everyone's in a little small group. And he just fucking blocked me. He just blocked me and called me fucking all negative.
Yeah. He used to be in children's programming, believe it or not. He used to be on the TV, like doing,
Doesn't surprise me at all. Don't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
It won't surprise me if it were like, more than in children's TV. That's complete fucking folly on my part. That's just my against him. I don't have no evidence of that. But.
Well, like yourself, like I never got on well with him at all, really. Like for a while, but he started to get very, very Sean Maguire-ish. I used to see him at it, like getting very argumentative with people and pretty good at trying to drive wedges and divide and conquer. I never liked that aspect of him, and I seen him in action, and it's not for me. It's a typical Otis operandi of a certain individual who might be sent in to agitate and cause trouble. And
I don't think he's there to agitate. I just think he's an idiot. I think he's just a fucking prick. I think he's just a fucking narcissistic prick, and anybody that disagrees with him, he don't like. So.
I always got a sense that there was something else going on there, and the same as I got a sense like that there was something not quite right with that station either. But anyway, that's long ago now, and I don't have any evidence of anything. It's long ago
in a land far, far away.
Thank fuck they're gone.
Oh, do you know what? I don't miss it though. Don't you want to just go back so that if you knew that what they were going to do to it, you'd sort of make. And I know we were telling everybody what they were going to do to it, but we still didn't make any fucking contingency plans ourselves, did we? That's how organised we are. They've organised, haven't they? Them lot, they've organised. They've organised so that you can't get anything out anywhere without approval. You can't even ask AI, an artificial intelligence, whether it's an artificial intelligence and whether it's gotten, whether this opinion that it's got is pre-programmed. It won't fucking answer you.
I got into a discussion with it the last day. After I listened to the first hour of your show the other day. Brilliant stuff, like brilliant questions on Webby and stuff like that, and a good one on Spanish, and the one from uni was pretty good too. But I couldn't get anything useful out of it because, I tried to engage in a conversation with the damn thing. That's probably not what you want to do, and there's nothing that it can tell me about. I don't want to read any fucking stories. I want to know, have you got a fucking brain, right? And no, there's no brain there. There's nothing there. All it's got is just certain pre-programmed responses, and it has the ability to sort of like rephrase its responses so it gives the impression that it's not been repetitive, but it is being fucking repetitive, and you can tell it's been fucking programmed by some blue-haired social warrior who used to have a penis and now has a fucking hairy hole connected to its anus.
Well, apparently, it's Elon Musk that's behind it. And Elon Musk is supposed to be this arbiter of fucking free speech. He just bought Twitter just to try and prove that he's paid, he's put a consortium together. It's like, I think the consortium would be a bit like that consortium of people that got together to buy some chains on Only Fools and Horses when they had gold chains. Fucking, you know what I mean? People, but he's got a consortium, free speech, yet this AI bot hasn't got any free speech at all. Its parameters are bound. The only information, the only data that's put into it is the only data it can call upon. I suppose it's like anything else, anybody else. You know, if you can't really blame people. I know it's fucking hard not to, but you can't really blame people for trusting the government, because they've really never known anything else other than that they have to trust the government. And because nothing's happened to them along the way, nothing's got in the way, which it did to me in 2004, and I suppose it did to you, but, you know, something's got in your way that's made you go this, you know, in this direction. I suppose it really, with me, it were school. I couldn't work out how people had the authority to tell me things and make me do things, you know. But yeah, I'm leaving you. Sorry to break your heart. But oh, just in there.
That's a brilliant one. Look at the scrotum hanging down just about the voice. So long. Yeah, I tell you what, I can't even call it a she, because it just looks like a bloody horse. That's what, fucking horse. I can't remember who said it the other day. Somebody was saying to me, I'll tell you who it was. It was that bloody pagan idiot. Like, he was going on. He's convinced that it's bloody. When they kidnapped Shergar, they brought over to New Zealand and done some genetic editing on it and turned it into that.
Well, we lost a warrior recently. If anybody would like to bow their heads just for a minute, we lost a warrior, a member of this family.
Oh, the poor fucker. I didn't really divide its testicles. The poor cunt.
How did they know they were fucking frozen by its testicles? That's what fucking does me. Did they go up and if they did, why did they not release its testicle? Why did they not, like, imagine raccoons are they're pretty vicious. We've seen fucking chat room, haven't we?
Frozen nuts is right.
Yeah, fucking frozen nuts. Oh, crazy world. Hey, listen, if you want to come up, we've got half an hour left, I think. I'm just going to pop this in. If you want to jump on, I'll pop this in StreamYard, the link in. I asked Jimmy O if he want to come on, so there you go, Jim, for half an hour, or whatever we end up going on, or anybody who wants to come on. That's not Colin, by the way. No, Colin is still there. You can see him. He's behind the telly.
He glued him by the testicles to the wall. But isn't it odd? Isn't it very odd that, like, this week we have the meeting going on in Davos, right? And apparently 50% of the supposed attendees failed to turn up, right? And then you have Jacinda Ardern, who mysteriously just steps down the fuck, and her, of course, being sort of like one of the good, one of Klaus Schwab's boys, you know, because there's no way I'm going to call that cow a girl. There's no way that's a girl. But anyway, Also,
actually, if you look at some old photographs of her, I saw some old photographs of her, and she doesn't look bad. She looks quite normal until she sort of gets into any semblance of power, and then it just fucking takes it out of her. You know, she's obviously a piece of work, but she looks quite normal on the ones that I've seen, where it sort of like goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and she's getting older in each one, and it does. And look what it did to Tony Blair. He was fresh faced, and then all that evil. He has to do all that evil, and then he looks like fucking Skeletor.
I wonder if it's an adverse event to adrenochrome. But also, like, China totally boycotted the Davos meeting. Russia didn't attend. India didn't attend. There was a huge amount of people. I didn't get the full list. I just got I didn't get a full list of all the people who didn't attend, but that's quite a lot. And it says a lot that China and Russia wouldn't be there.
So China, Russia, and India weren't there. So the BRICS countries weren't there. Were Brazil there?
I didn't hear about Brazil. I didn't get a comprehensive list of all, but I'm sure it'll come out. I'm sure it'll come out in the next couple of days, probably who didn't get there.
And he wasn't there, was he? What's his face? That old cunt, fucking. Oh, what's his name? You know him.
Not Schwab, but Soros.
Soros, yeah.
Yeah, Schwab wasn't supposed to. Schwab wasn't supposed to come either, and he was supposed to be taking it off, like, due to health reasons. So, obviously, like with the turnout, they had to sort of like defrost him and and wheel him out just for the day.
Yeah, it's a personality. That's the ugliest thing about it. I think they're talking about Jacinda Ardern or whatever her fucking name is. Yeah, it is. I mean, we do sometimes. You know, sometimes people, you know, do pass judgment, or not pass judgment, but do mention the way somebody looks. I mean, look at me, I'm a bald-headed cunt with fucking glasses, fucking arms skinnier than fucking spaghetti, and then, you know, that's fine. I don't care. It's what you are. It's what, you know. People are either fucking ugly or they're nice humans, and it don't matter what they look like. Do you think date rapists are more charismatic than run-of-the-mill normal rapists? Of course they are. Someone once described me as having all the charm of a date rapist. A date rapist has to have charm, though, doesn't he? You know, it's not like a normal rapist just texting. A date rapist has to have charm, by definition. It's a Noel McDonald joke, anybody, because somebody fucking... Last time I said that, somebody in chat room were going, "Oh, you can't be joking about rape." I'm not joking about rape. I'm talking about, it's a joke.
Yeah. It can be detrimental for your health, taking everything people say too fucking seriously.
Yeah.
Especially on a small show like this, where there's just ordinary dudes having a fucking chat like about shit. You know, what do they expect? Like, you know, you know, we're not the MSM. You know, we're not politically correct. We don't. You know, who wants to be? Does anybody? You know, I want to move back to the way we used to talk. I don't want any of this PC bullshit. Like, you know, just leave my colourful language alone, and I'll evolve in my own time.
Well, you don't need to evolve. You've evolved into a swear. What does everyone want to do when they're a kid? They want to grow up to be able to swear. So all you're doing is fulfilling your childhood dream of being able to swear at any point. That was my dream as a child. You can't take a child's dream away from them, can you? You evil bastard. And I've only got one leg, and I'm having fucking pains in my toe that don't exist. See what I mean? It's fucking ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fucking do. It's fucking, you know, I'm not offended by anything. Nothing could offend me. Nothing at all you could say or anybody could say that would offend me at all. I don't care. Fucking say what you want. Ain't true. Don't make it true. Don't make it true. Just because I called a bald cunt, it don't mean to say I'm bald. I've got hair somewhere on my back. In fact, got loads of hair on my back. You won't believe how hairy my back is.
I'm the same. I'm the same. I'm the very same. And I love my hair. And I probably don't have enough because especially with the ice age on the way, I says, shit, I need more fucking hair.
Yeah, the ice age is on the way, innit? I mean, we've got global warming. That's the ice age.
I mean, did you see that case there? There was another case came out there. It was really horrific, like about these pair of cunts here. A journalist from Town Hall wrote a horrifying story Tuesday about the LGBTQ ring involving a gay couple allegedly raping and pimping out their adopted children to pedophiles in Atlanta, Georgia suburbs. The journalist wrote the article investigating William Dale Zulock Jr. and Zachary Jacob Zulock for months after their initial arrest in July. The Gateway Pundit reported on it. Both men were accused of making porn with their children, who were adopted siblings. The children were rescued. Children were eventually rescued. William Zach, thankfully, has been indicted by a grand jury on the following charges: incest, aggravated sodomy, aggravated child molestation, felony sexual exploitation of children, and felony prostitution of a minor. What a bloody case is that? Now that's awful. Like, we can have like jokes about rape, like, but this is like where this is where we should be outraged. If we're going to be outraged at all,
We
we'll be
are
outraged at
outraged,
this shit.
aren't we? I mean,
Yeah.
people have look. Kids are going to get abused by people of all persuasions, all creeds, all colours, all races. Kids are going to be abused by people from all those demographics. Now, it makes you wonder, because I would think that one of the upsides of being gay, anybody who's gay can correct me if they're wrong, but I would think one of the upsides to being gay is that you don't have to have kids. You don't have kids. I mean, why would you want kids? I just don't, me and my, obviously I had my daughter with me, previous partner, but, if you were gay, that would be one of the things that would be a selling point, if you will, for being gay is you won't want kids. And I just don't, I don't quite get that. I don't think that it's right. I wouldn't want a child brought up by two females, and I wouldn't want a child brought up by two males. There's no discrimination there. I just don't think that it's the ideal environment. It opens them up to, particularly, how cruel kids can be. And when you've got a kid in class that's got two daddies or two mummies compared to everybody else, all the other kids, perhaps that's what that's perhaps what it's all about. It's so that all kids have two mummies and two daddies, and never the twain shall meet. But I don't know. It just, I think for me, it just it places more pressure on the child when the child didn't even ask for it. The child hadn't even asked to be, asked to be adopted by two men. The child wants to just be like its friends, with a mum, a dad, like it has. It has got a mum and dad, no matter what you say. It's got a fucking mum and it's got a dad. One fathered, one mothered it. That's what they want to be. They don't want to be exceptions to the rule. It's difficult being an adult when you're an exception to the rule. Never mind a child. Children are just, it's just a complete fucking nightmare for them, for any kid, really. I just don't see it. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's natural. I'll say it. I don't think it's natural. It's not.
Yeah. Nature has made us the way we are for a very particular reason, and I guess part of that reason would be that to keep a certain amount of balance, right? Because look, let's face it, the science is the real science, not the pseudoscience that's going around. The real science says that there's two genders, right? And that's it. And all the rest is in your imagination. And the reason being, like, so it takes one of each sex to procreate, and then to bring that child up, and then you have a balance of the male and the female there for the child, and there's good reasons for that. Like the feminine side is the mother inside, the father inside is that get up and go sort of like gusto side, and it's kind of interesting the way the way the balance works out, because if you listen to a lot of stories from parents, and they tell you about like how the children react in their family structure. A lot of the time you'll find that the boys will be more connected to the mother, and the girls could be more connected to the father. I've heard that so much. Like there's a certain reason in nature why we are made the way we are, and the way family structure should be. Like two guys can't have a bloody baby, right? And it's like it's that way for a bloody reason, and perhaps like and a lot of the gays, like they do, like I know what you're saying, like one of the pros of being a gay would be have no children, like, and then you can go on and stay out partying and do, and gays like to party, lesbians like to party. I know that for a fact because I used to hang around with a lot of gays back in the day, like when I was a lot younger than this, like, and go to the gay clubs and pubs, and there were great places to hang out, like they were fun, but I tell you what, they were party animals, and and they stay party animals, the ones I knew anyway. And what would no reason to have if you wanted a family, well then you could just decide not to be gay, go get a nice woman, and raise your children in a balanced home where there's a little bit of yin and a little bit of yang, and that's how it's supposed to be.
Well, listen, I don't think there's any. I don't think there's any fucking real evidence that it helps the child. I mean, the child's probably better off staying in foster care than I know. I understand. But I think we should be looking at this from the point of view of kids. And kids used to be really off limits for anything. You couldn't. There was no. You can't do this, and you can't drink in front. People used to frown upon people drinking in front of kids, didn't they? People who take the kids to the pub, and the pub kids would be outside, and they'd be in pub. Back in day, you'd be outside with some crisps and pop or whatever, or even inside in family room, and your parents are drinking. People used to frown upon that, but now it seems that it's open season on kids. We can do anything, and we can exploit them to anything. We can, show them anything. We can, and it's fucking. It sticks in my throat, so chronic. Because I'm not going to it, but when fucking years ago, I had a real fucking problem when I thought somebody were abusing my daughter. Now I can't go into it, but I just don't see that. I just think that the children wouldn't choose that. A child in any situation would choose a normal, and I'm going to call it that because it is. A penis and a vagina are built to interact. So that's normal. That is the norm. Right? Shoving things up your arse isn't the norm. I don't think it's the norm. Whether you fucking say it is or not, whether you like to do it, doesn't matter. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Fine. If that's what you do, that's fine. But I don't think it's normal. I don't think it's the norm. I don't think that's how nature intended it to be.
No, it's a bit deviant in a lot of ways.
Every day of fucking week.
Yeah. Look, everybody's entitled to do what they want to do. Like, but at the end of the day, a bit of common sense should prevail, especially around kids. Like this whole concept of teaching them about anal sex when they're 7 and 8 years old is just like it's just ridiculous, man. Like, who the hell came up with that bright idea to rob them of their innocence? Like, I mean, I was innocent up until I was 11 or 12. Like, I hadn't a clue about the goddamn birds and the bees, and it was fun finding out just on my own. It was a lot of fun finding out on my own, and thank fuck it happened that way. And it's just sad that, like, in this modern day, kids are not allowed to just find out these things on their own in their own time. That's been pushed on them now in the school through their books that are in their libraries, and it's even been these books are being presented by teachers in the bloody classroom. Like some of the books are absolutely disgusting, teaching a child how to pleasure themselves about with anal sex and how they should stick things up people's bums, and it's just like it's wrong, man. And it's really wrong. It's just come on. How ridiculous has this world become? I kind of hoping that I'm kind of hoping that humanity comes back to its senses sometime fucking soon. Because
fucking no chance, mate. You've got no to come. We've got no to come. We're fucking off. Everyone's an idiot. Everybody is a fucking idiot. They're all idiots, aren't they? Just people who interact with it on a day-by-day basis, they're fucking idiots. They are. You just can't do out about it. You have to sort of like drop yourself down to their level to be able to even communicate. You have to.
Yeah, I don't even bother anymore.
Things, and I just think to myself, fucking 10 years ago, I'd have probably had a fucking rate row here about that, but I just can't be asked because there's just no fucking way that it's even on your radar. Fucking weird. You are showing your bias. Off to reconditioning class. Sturgeon is called up Dutch wall. Go on, mate.
No, I was just because there's another story that's breaking at the moment, and it's actually quite disgusting, really. It's coming out of. Did you hear? Gabon's former minister dies after suffering from a heart attack. Did you hear about that one?
No, I didn't know. No.
Yeah, the minister for Gabon, he dropped dead. He dropped dead at a cabinet meeting, and he began feeling unwell, and he had a heart attack. Right. So, anyway, that happened today. That was just breaking there in the last couple of hours. But where is this bloody story that's coming out of Ukraine? Just give me a moment. Just to
the helicopter crash.
Oh God, yeah, that's another crazy one. The helicopter crash. It's not a crash, and it's looking like it was taken down with a Stinger missile. Now, where are Stinger missiles coming from in Ukraine? Well, apparently, I think it's Lithuania are supplying Stinger missiles to Ukrainian army. So, what's thought now at the moment is that helicopter crash was like they were taken out. They were taken out by their own. Apparently, it's all over an arms deal gone wrong. And I'll tell you what, 18 people killed in that. Like I think it was 7 people on the chopper, and the rest of the casualties were on the ground, including 3 children. Crashed into a Montessori school or something like that. But anyway, that's the thinking on it, that it was like an internal feud between a couple of factions, and rumor has it Zelensky may have ordered the strike as a message, as a message that says you're not.
He couldn't, could he? He couldn't. I don't think he could order a curry. It won't be him, would it? But it might be some inside. Probably is. Who knows?
Yeah, it may have to been ordered, though. It may have had to been ordered. But so who would be the big mafioso boss, top of the food chain? Well, that would be Zelensky. Like, but he obviously he's not top of the food chain. Like somebody's pulling his strings as well too. Like so the big guy will be pulling his strings. But at the end of the day, I probably would have been him to have ordered it, like especially if it was an internal job. Like, I mean, these were the top people in the internal department of the ministry, like the top people in the country. These are no army officers or generals in the army. These were the top people in government. Mad.
Tony says falling from the sky wasn't the problem. The sudden declaration as it came in contact with the ground, that's where they had trouble.
Yeah. I mean, it is possible to survive a fall from the sky, but the trick is that when you hit the ground, you got to roll. You got to roll with it. Like, you know, if you don't roll, you're fucked.
Well, yeah, but I mean, helicopters, particularly big ones, are pretty fucking. They're just going to fall out of the sky, aren't they? I mean, if you got a small helicopter and you have an engine failure or something like that, then you can land them. I've seen plenty of people landing after an engine failure in an helicopter from being quite high up as well. So they are controllable. But the thing is with an helicopter is that you as soon as you've got an emergency, you have to land instantly. Whereas in a plane, if you've got an engine failure, you can put your engines on feather if you're in a prop engine plane, and then you've got some time because you can glide, but you can't in a helicopter. It just sort of drops out of the sky. Now, if it's
Well, apparently you can. I was watching a demonstration by a U.S. Military aviator once, and he was showing how you could land even with an engine down, and it is possible to glide with them. Like, but it is possible to do it. Like, so. But anyway, like if it was taken out by a Stinger missile, that could be problematic. Like,
yeah, I saw a video of a load of UKRA all over a captured Russian tank. It was booby trapped and blew them all to bits. Oh dear, fucking hell! Sorry, I don't mean to. That were a nervous laugh. Honestly, I'm not laughing at people getting blown to bits. That's obviously terrible. But the tanks are a big thing. I mean, aren't we sending them to Britain, sending some tanks, and they're getting armed everywhere, aren't they? Jim will fix it style for old Zelensky. It's come early, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's fallen to pieces.
It's all over. That's what I'm worried about for him.
Yeah,
for him anyway.
It's fallen to pieces quickly there in Ukraine at the moment. Like from what I'm hearing, Bakhmut is now in an operational encirclement. So Bakhmut's days are numbered. And I'll tell you what, this is moving really, really quickly now. Russia are obviously like up in their game right now. So I thought like Bakhmut might take another couple of months, but like at the rate they're sort of like making progress there, it looks like they'll be encircled by the end of next week.
Well, it's been going on for a fucking long time. Not really much has happened, has it? It's not really a very good war, is it? Fucking hell. You know what I mean? It's a bit like I don't fucking know.
Look, no, it's quite serious. Like if you take because like we were talking there last week about the fall of Solidar, Ukraine lost about 25,000 soldiers in that one town. That's massive. Like that's huge casualties. Like that's what I'm saying. It's a bloody disaster zone there. Anybody who thinks that it's not a proper war. No, I'm telling you, like the people are losing their.
It's not a proper war. What I'm trying to say is that I would have thought, but if we were, I would have thought by now we'd sort of be in some sort of end game. It seems to me like it's been prolonged on purpose on all sides. I'm not blaming any particular side. I think it's just been prolonged. I think we're being fucking lied to immensely about what's going on over there. I think it's probably in certain areas, a little bit like Syria. Most of Syria were just like going about its normal business when the war was going on in Syria. Look, I'm not trying to belittle what is going on and the suffering that's going on, because that's inevitable in a fucking situation where there's war. It don't make it right though, does it? They don't make any fucking war justified. You see, if they've got a fucking problem, why don't Zelensky go and fight fucking Putin? That's how it should be done. They should be on pay-per-view. Can you imagine how much money they get on pay-per-view with Putin and Zelensky boxing? To the death. Well, not to the death. Don't have to be to the death, but till one gets in. And then that's it. You can have that comes, Fucking
yeah, that would be the ideal world.
Yeah, and leave restaurants out of it. Can't they just fucking sort your problems out that you've got between yourselves. And fucking leave restaurants out of it because we don't really want it. People of Ukraine don't want it. People of Russia don't want it, and people of America, people all over the world don't want it. Who wants war? Nobody. Apart from fucking cunts who don't live anywhere near it and have got a fucking vested interest. They want dragging out of the fucking houses, but I best shut my mouth because there'll probably be some infiltrator in here, and I might end up in the old clink.
The Ukraine war is a massive distraction. Putin takes his orders from Israel. Well, from what I hear, it's kind of the other way around, and Israel has been infiltrated by Russia. But we'll probably find out more in time about that. As Israel is dropping America, I think that Israel wanted out, away from American influence, and so. But they're tending to go towards China and Russia now these days, like with a lot of the deals, and which is why I was thinking like that this Mackinder Island thesis looked like it was taking shape. But the fact that like this war is dragging out in Ukraine sort of says to me that there's a massive battle over like what's going to happen with the world. And like we have to take into consideration too the WEF, like and how the WEF have become so irrelevant. Like, I mean, they're a laughing stock now these days. Everybody just mocks them, and and quite rightly so. Quite rightly so. Everybody's just mocking them, and their climate change rubbish, and eating bugs, and people just laugh at them now. So, and the WEF would have been pushing for this Mackinder thesis, like the creation of the Eurasian landmass. So I don't know how it's going to end. I really don't. But it seems to me that there's a bigger battle afoot, and that like America, it looks like, are not going to go down quietly and retreat.
No. Oh dear. Oh, aren't we living in a fucking right dog hole? Right dog hole.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. It is. It's a struggle each day just to keep reminding ourselves that like it's all a bloody show playing out, and we don't want to take everything too seriously. Although it's good to look at what's going on around the world, but we don't want to be taking it all to heart and too seriously either, because we just don't know what's real and what's not real anymore. And it just seems to be that like it's not just a war of guns and tanks, it's also a war on information as well too, and that information war just leads us to the place where we are, in a state of sort of wondering what the fuck is going on. But that's okay too, and that's okay. That's why we shouldn't get too badly down, because a lot of this is just a misinformation campaign as well too, so which is obviously intended to drive people to a state of despair and confusion. And the best thing we can do is just not allow it. Look at it, but just don't let it get to you.
Confusion is definitely not on the agenda. Definitely not on the agenda. Confusion and getting down about it, we can't do that either. So we've all got to stay positive. Keep listening to Raconteurs News, because we'll keep you up to date. But we'll also keep you within range as well, because you've got to have a certain baseline, and we'll try and keep you within range of that baseline, so that you don't you're not getting too fucking upset about it. But you know what's going on, and you can have a laugh.
Yeah.
Then you can think, fucking hell, that's silly bulk on fucking hell. At least I've got two legs. Think about that. Just think about that anytime. Anytime. You're welcome to. Honestly, say I am blessed because at least I've got fucking two legs. Anybody can say that's great. Because you are fucking blessed, believe me. And I've got two legs as well, but one's downstairs.
Even though one's a phantom, it's okay.
Yeah, it still hurts. Yeah, even though it's fucking metal, it still hurts. Anyway, I think we're done, aren't we? 11 o'clock.
Yeah, 11:05. That's fair enough. We've gone an extra half hour tonight, so.
Yeah, shall we pop we'll pop the thing in?
Yeah, do, and see if anybody wants to join.
If anybody wants to join for after chat, I'll be around for a bit. We're just going to go straight downstairs, and then we'll be in after chat. So yeah, that's it for tonight on After Dark. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for all your comments in the chat and having a good laugh in the chat, and all the people who've not been in the chat as well. We appreciate you listening. We just do, because otherwise we'll be talking to ourselves, won't we, Jimmy? That were our first line. That were Andy used to always finish with that line. Thank you for listening, because it wasn't for you, we'd just be talking to ourselves. That were his line. So we'll use that again. We'll be back Tuesday. Is your mate coming on Tuesday?
Well, I sent him over. I'm still waiting to get a reply back from him, so I'll let you know anyway in time. So.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll be back Tuesday anyway. On Tuesdays. Until then, enjoy the rest of your weekend. I hope you're all great. The after chat, man, we'll be in there for a bit. If you want to pop in, if you want to join in, it's fine. If you want to listen, it's fine. But there's only room for 10 people, so well, there's 2 already on.
Well, I mightn't be staying that long, so that's to leave an extra seat. I mightn't stay that long, so there will be an extra seat.
And neither might I. So that'll leave another extra seat. They always play afterwards, don't they? Right, everybody, take it easy, everyone. We'll see you Tuesday. Love y'all.